Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. I'm lucky enough to be joined today by Coach Paul Shaw of King University. Coach, welcome.
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me and, allowing us to share some of the things here at Special at King.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. For anybody who's driven through Virginia and down into Tennessee, and been through Bristol, it's a pretty cool place. I lived in Northern Virginia for a while, had made that trek a couple of times.
It's nice. It's beautiful here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll talk about your location, your school here in a couple more minutes, but let's start just by talking about your recruiting process and that sort of thing. So when do you usually start hearing from players, and when are you going to see players? What year are they in high school when you start checking them out?
Yeah, with this past couple of years with COVID and everybody getting another year of eligibility with COVID, recruiting has kind of taken on a more of a strategic plan. And here at King, it's really important for me to establish what the player profile of a successful athlete is here. So in saying that, I mean, I was reading through some of the other transcripts of some of the other coaches, and I'd echo the same things that a lot of the other coaches say, that, we're going into fall 2022. So, I'm getting 2022s, the majority are now 2023s. Even the other day I had a 2025, which obviously with NCAA rules, I had to respond appropriately, but for us with recruiting, being a small Division II school, and as you know, in Bristol, Tennessee, northeast part of the country here, I got to be very descriptive with what the profile of a successful student is. And it's taken me a little bit to get a feel in regards to the community, the culture of our school, where we're going with our program, and feel pretty dialed in with what we are looking for. So as much as I'd like to say getting emails are great, but establishing a personal connection is really more important for us.
So what do you like to see in that first communication that helps do that?
Wow, good question. So for your families that you're currently chatting with, and for anybody else that's listening to this this Zoom webinar, most important thing for us, for me, when I get that initial email, is that it is personal, that you actually know about our university versus a cut and paste. And that's very easy to see, that it's a cut and paste. Understanding not only the geography, the size of the school. So, hey, Coach Paul, Coach Shaw, I'm looking for a smaller school. I'm looking at the academics. I'm looking at sciences at your specific school with an emphasis in XYZ area. So the fact that the prospective has done her homework really comes out quickly in an email and allows me to prioritize a different amount of emails that I get in a day, so that I'm not, all of a sudden, if I get the 10 emails, I'm going in and responding to all 10 of them, and automatically I jump to the ones that have established that they know about King.
So how many emails would you say you get in a typical week from prospects?
It ranges. Sure. And I'm not concur with a lot of other people on there, I mean, up to today, it's what, 1 o'clock today, and I've already gotten a half a dozen today. But there's also no significant soccer event happening in our area this weekend. There's a couple happening in different parts of the country, which I'll get those. But last weekend there was a big showcase happening. Well, I'm going to get a bunch of emails going into that showcase. So, today it's a half a dozen. Going into a weekend, it will be, triple that.
Sure.
Which again, if I'm getting an email, if I'm going into XYZ event that we've registered to be at, and I'm getting emails from somebody on a Thursday night or a Friday, that's probably too late for us. When I go to an event, I want to know who I'm seeing ahead of time. I want to have already had a conversation with her. Just, again, establish that profile from, is it somebody that would actually be interested in our school, or is it just one of those, hey, I'm just sending out to all these coaches that are in Division II in the Southeast.
Right, right. Well, you talk about, XYZ event. What are some of the key events, the tournament showcases that you make sure you get to, whether locally, regionally, or nationally?
Yeah, well, we really focus in on regionally first, take care of our own backyard. So whether it's, last weekend there was an ECNL event in Texas, right? So there's obviously other events happening in Tennessee that have to do with ECNL or the Carolinas. There's USY events. There's, I guess I'll go through the recent showcases that we've been at. We had the Bethesda event a couple of weeks ago. That was more of a USYS type of event. VDA soccer up in Northern Virginia, where you're from, they held a showcase.
My
Right.
daughter played there for the 2 years we weren't here in Florida. So yeah, I know
Okay,
VDA.
there you
Yep,
go.
yep.
There you go. So we'll make sure, I'm from Virginia, so we'll make sure we hit all the Virginia events, whether it's CCL or a US club event, then we'll definitely make sure that we're at. Last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I was in Memphis for the regional ODP. So we're trying to get around, and as you know, in our country, we've got these different formats for youth soccer, right? Which, if you go to
Never
bed one
ending.
night and you wake up, it could be something different. GA, obviously, with the Girls Academy League, with, so we do try to hit all these different events. But Matthew, the key thing though is that whatever event we're going to, that we know who we're looking at before we get there, to establish a connection with that person, so that we're not walking in with a list of 40 names. We're walking with a list with a little bit more strategic approach.
So let's say you're at an event, you got your list, right? So what are you looking at? What's your hierarchy of qualities, whether that's on the field or off the field?
Yeah, so we've broken it down to 5 areas. And first area is always going to be character, right? And within character, there are a couple of key things that pop out. Not only their behavior when they get subbed and things like that. I think every coach will get into that. And love talking with high school coaches, because then you can see what they're like in their own high school, where they're more than likely they're a leader in their high school. So that's really, really important. So leadership qualities pop into there as well. If they're at a bigger event, sometimes you don't get to see the leadership qualities. Within the character, obviously the human element, very important for us that we establish what their mindset is, their growth mindset. And that's where the conversations ahead of time come in. So, you ask some leading questions, and you find out about their goal setting and how they deal with frustrations, and you get an idea of what their mindset is. And that's why, again, it's really important for me and my assistant here, to really get to know them before we walk in. So that's one area. The number one soccer aspect of it is reading the game. Right? If you want to call it, their soccer intelligence. So based on the position they're playing, there are a couple of things that we look for based on our playing model. So we have established a game model of how King women's soccer plays. So for example, if we're looking at a number 9, center forward, right? It's really important for us that a center forward, I'm not going to give away everything, but it's really important for us that a center forward, she's able to hold up the ball. That would be like one of her 6 job descriptions that she needs to do. And so when we're looking at Matthew playing up front, and if we are trying to evaluate whether or not she will fit into our game model, then that's one of the things we'll look up. Well, is she making the decisions to flick it on, to turn, or to hold up play? That specific decision. And each position we've broken down with exactly what we're looking for. So that's reading the game. Then the technical, tactical piece, ability to break lines is very important for number 9, because in college soccer, a lot of it's high press, right? So you got to be able to go through that. And then the last piece would be fitness. We rate fitness as the last piece, and more than likely that has more to do with speed in small areas than power in 1v1 challenges. So that's kind of how we've looked at things.
All right, makes sense. What about camps? Do you have ID camps you run at your school? Do
You
you
know
go to
what,
camps?
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's been huge for us. You know, with COVID, and I'm in my second season here, so I got hired during COVID.
Oof.
So as soon as I got here, I was like, Paul, meet the team. And my second meeting with the team was like, there's no season, right? So we really, to be brutally honest, COVID probably helped me more than anything because it gave me a fall preseason with a team that I just met. Well, we were able to do an ID camp, I guess, last summer. Summer 2020 was our first ID camp that we'd done here in a couple of years. And from that ID camp, we've signed 3 for next fall. Recently, we did an ID camp for 2023s, and we had a 2022 show up, and we signed her as well. And the thing for us with the ID camps is that, you know, as I said at the beginning, I want you to know about King. I want you to be vested in the school and have done your homework. And the young woman that we had come to the ID camp, well, they're only going to come here if they want to go here, right? And then, you know, then you start looking through those elements that I talked about and said, yeah, you know what? Those 4 young women and those 2 ID camps, they fit with what we want to do here. So we will run one in the summer, we'll run one in the fall, and we'll run one in the wintertime. So we'll do 3 ID camps a year. We'll do soccer camps as well, but it's going to be mainly for middle and elementary school players.
Sure.
More of a community thing.
Okay. Last kind of question on the recruiting trail. What
Sure.
about transfers, walk-ons, and kind of what I would say the non-traditional recruiting process folks?
Really, really important. You know, you got that lovely transfer portal, right? Which I know every coach, and I can just feel the cringe coming out of the screen here. Yeah, because I think the portal now, the last time I checked, was up to like 1,200 names or something.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's unbelievable, and I fully understand the reason why. It's a challenge though. We don't go dipping in the portal unless it's a positional need. So transfers, we'll have a couple of transfers. Usually the transfer is someone that reaches out to us, and then we'll do our homework. So we won't necessarily spend time going through the porthole and, you know, contacting people unless they come across our table, because we feel that where we're going in the culture of our program, that makes sense. Now, again, a positional need, definitely, and we've definitely dipped into the portal and been able to access and had players sign from the portal that we've gone after, but it's basically because, hey, we need this right now. Yeah.
Right.
Walk-ons, of course, yeah, we've got a fantastic story happening here at King, where we've had a walk-on that showed up in August, and she started training with us. We opened our spring season on Thursday, and I'm going to give her some time on Thursday, and I think it's just a great story. So we always open people with welcome arms and give them a shot.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, with whether it's a recruit or walk-ons or transfers, anything really, but let's talk about the financial side of it a bit. You guys are NCAA 2, Division 2, so you got some money, but you know, not enough for everybody. So what's the mix of scholarships at your school with regards to academics, athletics? How does that kind of balance out?
Yeah, there's 3 different, maybe 4 different ways to reduce that price tag for family. I've got 3 daughters, 2 of them are in college, so so
God
when it
bless
comes
you.
to, yeah, I'm taking notes for you, Matt. But when it comes to finances, that's always a very open discussion because of what private school costs. Um, Academics are extremely important, and if a student is pushing above a um, 3 GPA, then that opens up a lot of doors for them, especially if they're a Tennessee resident, because the state government here offers different grants and scholarships to you. So right off the bat, academics is huge. And when I start talking about the profile of a student of success here, not that GPA would hinder me looking at somebody, but definitely in the latter part of our conversations, we talk about money. So academics can make up to, well, let me calculate it out, easily a half a ride could come out of academics. There are scholarships on campus that have to do with need-based. There's scholarships on campus for women in sciences and other things that you can look in the honors college and things like that before we even look at athletic monies.
Okay.
When we start looking at athletic monies, then I start to look from the standpoint of immediate impact on the field. And as quite frankly, recently it's been, we've got some women that have been here for a while, and again, I'm like 2 years here, but they've been such an important piece to our puzzle and growing our program that we'll look at, what, I think it's best for us if we invest our monies as almost a thank you to some of our older players, right? That have been there, done that, and are still contributing to the program. So being a program that's not fully funded, so I'm not gonna hide behind that. We have to be very, very strategic with how we spend our athletic monies. So it's either immediate impact or as a reward to somebody that's shown like some good commitment to our program, knowing that we've got other avenues for scholarships here at the school.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Well, let's talk about the school, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people probably haven't had the pleasure of going through Bristol, but it is definitely in a gorgeous part of the country. So, besides what I could find by clicking around the website, give me the inside scoop. What are some awesome things about King that I'm not gonna know without having been there, having you tell me about it?
Yeah. Well, thanks for that segue for me. When I was looking at opportunities, and there's a number of things that jump out at King to me as somebody looking at college positions and quality of academics. I mean, we are a small school, so you're walking into a classroom of 8 to 12 people on average, and with the senior, junior classes that are a little bit more specialized, and your class could be smaller. So one of my daughters works great for. The other one of my daughters, like, no, she wants to be in a little bit bigger school. So if you're looking for something that has very, very low professor to student ratio, then you definitely need to look at King. Like the sciences are very, very strong here. We've got a really good nursing program. I would say half of our roster of 26 are in the sciences. The community, Bristol, Tennessee, small community, a little bit of a cottage area. If you like the outdoors, like hiking, we do a lot of outdoor activities. There's team bonding to hiking and things like that, to recovery. And one of our seniors has a hiking blog, which she will stick something up. I'm like, oh, that's a new hike to go on. Historically, King University was an NAIA school till about, I think about 12 years ago, maybe. And it's maintained a lot of the strength of sport. So the culture at the school right now, we have, I think, about 75% of the students that go here are athletes.
Wow.
So now you look at the relationship that you have with professors who are invested in sport, understand the life of an athlete, that, some days are not going to be a good day because of whether it's result, practice, Coach Shaw said something and got benched, then they understand that, and of course, then they come out to support sports. So we've got a really good sport culture at the school here. And then, of course, being a small campus, you walk around school and everybody knows you, and it's from that standpoint, it's very safe as well.
Oh, that's great. You kind of mentioned that support. What official support mechanisms are there in place to help students with their academics and balance that school and sport life?
Well, the school does have some things built in, whether it's a writing, I can't remember what the term is, but basically you can go have your essays looked at, and
Writing center usually is.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's called. And there's counseling available, and there's a number of our students are I guess working tutoring for other students. Within our team, I think as a family, what you have to look at is, well, what is the team culture around academics? And the way we have tackled it with our women's soccer program may not necessarily be the same as some other programs that, we don't have a study hall. We don't have, like, you have to show up in the library at X amount of time, especially if you're like a first year or a sophomore. We try to build accountability within our team and establish these small groups, and everybody knows that, they go to Samantha. She's really good at molecular biology, and she'll be the one that helps you through, and kind of establish those accountability groups within our team so that we're a little bit more personal from that standpoint. When I first got here, I was like, you know what, let's establish a study hall within the team. And some of the seniors came to me and goes, Paul, our GPA is like a 3.5, or I think it was like 3.6 at the time. I was like, why do you want to do a study hall when we're actually really doing really well right now? You're just going to give us more work. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense to do a study hall if we're doing that well. So there's definitely those things in place. But within our own team, we have accountability groups that help each other look after our grades. Yeah. You're on mute, sir.
Dang it! Sorry, I was here. My wife's phone going off in the background, so I was muting
Oh,
myself.
no problem. I don't know how many times I've gotten on a rant on Zoom, and after people go, we didn't hear you.
Well, what does a typical day look like during the season for your players, from when they wake up to when they go to bed?
Yeah, I guess today is our first day of our 45-day in spring season. So up until last week, we were in our 8 hours a week. So that was significantly different than what it's going to be right now. And our season probably mimics a lot of other programs in the fall, where you're playing 2 games a week, and you have to give a day off for NCAA rules, and therefore you got game Wednesday, game Friday. So Tuesday and Friday, the day before a game, it's like 30% of what you'd actually do, and then the day after the game, the Thursday, is going to be like a 20% day from your effort, and then Monday, because you had Sunday off, is good. So like the whole week during the season is really about recovery, right? and maybe a little bit of getting ready for the next opponent. Love the spring, because now we get to spend some time working on what each person's got to develop. So we're coming out of 8 hours a week, where the players are lifting twice a week, and then on the field twice a week as well, with some individual things built in. Today we're on the field at 4 o'clock for probably an hour and a half. Tomorrow we'll be on the field for another hour, maybe an hour, and then we open up our spring season at ETSU, Eastern Tennessee State, on Thursday night. So the spring, we are training 4 or 5 times a week. We, as a Division II school, are allowed 5 play dates, so to speak. And so now it's up to me to figure out when those play dates are. And, I believe that our schedule is built such that it respects your academics, and we take into account everybody's class schedule before we actually build in the desired training sessions. So from that standpoint, I believe that it's not too challenging, But again, it's college sport, and you got college level classes, so it's going to take some work.
Yeah, you said molecular biology, and my head just started hurting.
Oh, trust me, yeah, I had to write that word down before I said it.
Well, so let's talk about travel a little bit and how that kind of
Yeah.
can interrupt the school week. What your conference is Conference Carolinas, but what's your average travel? What do you usually do for non-conference stuff, and how does that factor into players' academics?
So currently in our spring season, we will not miss any classes for any contest. All right, that's kind of the culture of our school here. So the fact that we're playing on Thursday night, that's based on the fact that that's not going to impact anybody. During the fall season, we've got 13 teams in our conference, therefore that's 12 games. And if I'm building an out-of-conference schedule, I'm looking at 4 to 6 games, maybe, So our out-of-conference schedule, we're really blessed in the fact that we've got a lot of really good competition in the Southeast here. So our travel and the relationships that I have with the other schools around us allow us, quite frankly, to have a really good, challenging out-of-conference schedule. And that's paramount for us in order to prepare us for our conference schedule. The furthest conference opponent to us is probably 4.5 hours away, and we usually schedule those on weekends so that it's an overnight trip. There are 4 schools in our conference which we will go on overnight trips, but again, that will be a weekend, so there'll be no missed time from classes. We do not play any double headers. So everything will be like one game of the weekend, then either Wednesday, Tuesday games. The Wednesday and Tuesday games, that may encompass some missed time, but usually maybe it's an afternoon classes because, we've got a couple of opponents that are maybe 2 hours away from us. And, sometimes we're playing on a weekday where, the game's at 2 o'clock or something based on lights and travel and that type of thing. So you will miss some afternoon classes. But in all honesty, Matthew, I mean, the players have got their schedules well ahead of time. The relationship we have with the professors, we can be proactive to make sure that that our women on our team make up for what they're going to miss, or they get done ahead of time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about the team and
Sure,
you mentioned you carry about 26 players. If I'm an incoming freshman, do I have a chance to play, or am I
Definitely
developing? Yeah.
Yeah.
How many do you like to bring in? And now we'll take COVID out of it because that changed the landscape. But moving forward, I mean, are you trying to bring in the same amount of players every year, or is it just ebb and flow with your graduating classes?
Yeah, it's probably going to be more of an ebb and flow. This year, we had 6 graduates.
What about your coaching style play? What can you tell me about that? That's not like you said, too in the weeds or too proprietary.
Hey, listen, actually, if you want to go in the weeds, we'll be on here for another hour and a half. So I got no problem with sharing what we're doing here. So if any coaches out there that, hey, how are you doing some things? No problem. We I guess the best way to describe our style of play is adaptive. Everybody will romance about, yeah, you know what, we want to play possession soccer, build from the back, and of course those things are going to be in it. However, each opponent's a little different, and the role that myself and Alex, our assistant here, has is to create an opportunity where players have the power to make some decisions on the field. So we will set up a format, we'll set up a game model. This is what we are going to do with the flexibility within there. So as much as like today's session, we're going to be working on zonal defending in the midfield. Next week's session is going to be on building out of the back because we want to be able to do those things, but also recognize when, sometimes we're not going to be able to do that. So we're going to have to make that decision on the cuff. But we will have a basic of, yeah, we want to play. We want to put the ball down and play. No question about that. but recognize that sometimes that's just not on. And we want our players to be able to go, okay, we've got to change this now. And sometimes being 60 yards away on the sidelines, romancing about what's happening on the field, it's too late. So we want to give our players the power to do that.
No, that's fantastic. Love to hear that. Well, Coach, we've had a a wonderful conversation. You know, I want to go to King now, but you know,
Your
last
eligibility is done, Matthew.
it is. I burned mine many moons ago. Um, so the last question I have for you, give everybody, you know, what did we miss? What's something else that maybe we didn't cover that you want any prospects, parents, or anybody to know that we didn't talk about yet?
We covered quite a bit, you know. The key thing that I wanted to really reaffirm with families is, you know, whether it's King or another university. I saw that, you know, you talked with some of our other regional opponents in here. Get to know the school. You know, look not only through their website, get on a campus. It's really important for us that prospects get on campus and have the opportunity to meet our team, see us train more than play, probably, so you can get a real feel for what the culture actually is versus the conversation over the phone.
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. We wish you the best of luck in the coming season and in your spring games coming up. And we'll keep track of see where you guys are. And if I happen to roll through Bristol, I'll stop in and knock on your door.
Please do. I got a cup of coffee waiting for you here, Matt.
Fantastic. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.